Okay, hola amigos, welcome back to my channel. Okay. Hola amigos, welcome back to my channel. Assista vlogs are finally resuming from now on because thoda time bhi pass aa gaya and September is just around the corner and you guys are planning already, preparing for Assista journey already. And you won't believe, abhi I'm about to go for the video call, Zoom video call that kal raat ko hi sari planning hui hai and there are I think 9 of you will be joining the Zoom video call. And for those who cannot join, obviously ये थोड़ा first come first serve basis and this is something we are just trying out. अगर ये कुछ बढ़िया निकला तो maybe in future also I'll do this more often. And I was just getting ready for this call and everything. And my mama called me up in her room and she showed me this thing. Wait, just look at this beauty. And अभी थोड़ा सा बचा है ये and it smells exactly the same. This is actually one lotion that I bought once I landed in Toulon. And I have used this throughout my stay in Toulon. And the moment I open this lid, it takes me back to my apartment in Toulon. It's amazing and मेरे लिए तो it's very emotional also and I'm glad कि इसमें थोड़ा सा बचा है तो at least I can make my closed ones also smell this and at least give them a glimpse of my life back in Toulon. I don't know, there is this very exciting and jittery feeling wherever I go live with some other assistant because I go back to the time when I was in France and living that assistant life. So ठीक है, without any further ado, Alonzi, shall we? There
Hi,
were around
Manali.
9 of them.
Great.
Hello, hi.
Hi,
How are
Manali.
you?
Hi, Aishwarya.
Hi,
Ankita is
everybody.
also here.
Just a moment. Okay, hello everyone.
Hello. Let's wait
Sorry.
2-3 minutes more and then we'll start.
Hi, Ankita.
Hello.
Just to get an idea, I know Manali, you'll probably be going next year. You're thinking of going next year, right?
Planning for
Yeah.
2022. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And what about the both of you, Aishwarya and Ankita?
Planning for the
Planning.
same.
Okay.
Same here. Planning for
Okay.
next.
It's more or less a good time to start thinking of the program, to be honest, because
Yes.
July is when you start thinking of applying for your IELTS exam and start preparing for that and stuff like that. Did Pratik say yes?
No, we did not get through because there were already a lot of people who wanted to join. I was not
Right.
expecting this much, but okay, it's the first time.
Hello,
Okay, hi
Mridul.
Mridul. He's also
Bonjour. Hi.
Thank you. Okay, I think we can start and everybody else can join later.
Yes.
And this video is recording, okay? Because I'll be putting it on YouTube as well.
Right. So, Mridul, I just got to know from the three of them that they are planning on going next year. What about you?
Yeah, me too. Like next year. Like if I apply this year, so yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, all set. So all of you are planning for next year, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. They are pre-planning quite in advance. That's a good thing. Okay, so Sagar, we'll just 1 second. There is this one more person.
Sure.
I
joining
have
in.
a small question for all
Yeah,
of you.
go ahead, go ahead.
Did you give your DELF B1?
Yeah. I got
Yes.
it like in 2019, but actually I want to apply last year as well, but because of COVID, I haven't applied, and I haven't given that IELTS also.
I gave my
My
DELF.
DELF is pending.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I want to give my DELF B2 since I think 1.5 years now, but due to COVID, it's been like postponing. When I was ready, the session got cancelled, and when they were ready, I wasn't ready. So I think
Okay.
I hope by this September I'll give my B2 DELF.
Makes sense. Ankita, what about
I
you?
haven't given, but I'm doing my graduation in French.
Oh,
Okay.
great.
I think
I'm
to
just-
talk about
it's my-
sorry.
That's okay. You can
Yeah.
start.
To talk about timelines, no, Aishwarya, September's and even for Manali, September's session should be what your target should be, all right?
Yes.
Make sure you're giving the
Yes.
exam then.
I'm ready since June, but it's just not happening.
Right. I fortunately gave my C1 exam in the month of March, and then boom, everything
Yeah.
fell down.
Okay, so Sagar, first of all, enlighten us.
Very interesting question. Very open. So, y'all would have seen the post that Bhavna put up. So, I'm Sagar. I'm from Bangalore. I have been an assistant twice. Once in 2018-19 in the Academy of Poitiers. Okay, I was placed in a tiny little town called Pont. All right, and the population of this tiny little town is less than my area where I stay in Bangalore. All right, it's 4,000 people, approximately 4,000 people. And the second time around, after I renewed in 2019-20, I was placed in the Academy of Strasbourg. All right, so I worked in a city called Sagar, around 40 to 50 minutes out of Strasbourg, and I stayed in Strasbourg. All right, so I've done the assistant program twice, and I returned to India a year ago. Decided to take a break and then go back to France. So I'm going back to France now for my master's. All right, so that's a little bit about myself. I work as a part-time teacher in a lot of different places. I teach French, Spanish, and English, conversational English. All right, I'm yeah, I'm going back to France to do my master en didactique des langues. So that is, didactics and pedagogy of foreign languages. All right. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and what I've been doing over the last 3 years. So I do a lot of teaching. That's what I did in France for 2 years. I really enjoyed the first year because I learned tons. All right, Bhavna, I learned tons in my
I
first
know,
year.
I've been following your stories and posts and everything, and how
You'll also
students love you as an assistant. They just wait for it, and the smiles on their faces tell everything.
yeah, it was such a learning curve, as in, in my first year, the 15 days that you get to observe, I understood, okay, that's my playing field. What am I supposed to do? What kind of students I have? Because I was expecting students to speak no French, no English at all right, because a lot of people told me, if you're placed in a tiny town, no one cares, and your levels of English are going to be really bad. But it was a very, very nice surprise, very pleasant surprise about how well they would speak English and how interested they were to take their English forward. So those first 15 days I spent to understand what classes require what kind of attention and stuff like that. And then the next 3 months, October, so I started off in October, of course. October, November, December were my, I was open to all ideas that the teacher would give me. The teacher would say, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? I would never said no, right? Because that was my chance to actually interact with students and understand what their specific needs are, get to know each student personally. And, it's better to call a student by their name. And so what the teachers do, right? They ask the students to write their name, okay, on a sheet of paper and keep it in front of them always. So as an assistant, that way you have a visual cue of someone's name, right?
Exactly.
The first 3 months I spent to learn each person's name. I was like, okay, now Gabin, you will answer. Amoury, that was something that you should also definitely do. So the first whole year, I really spent on learning things like, okay, this is my approach. This is what technique I should use in France. This is what will work. This is what will not work, right? That's this kind of thing that I did. The second year, the main reason that I renewed was because whatever I had learned in my first year, I wanted to apply. All right. So my second year, I think
Makes
the
sense.
kind of results I got in terms of my teaching and my and how they reciprocated to what I thought was over the top. I was extremely happy looking at the results. And again, if you see my posts compared to first year and then the second, you'll see that even the kind of activities I did, the kind of response I got was very different. And one of my most favorite one activities that I did was this color activity, describe how a color feels. So you can just go through my Instagram profile, and I've put up around 6 to 7 paragraphs that my students came up with. So you see the growth. It's tremendous. And if you're looking forward to be a teacher at the end of this program, I think this program is the best that has to offer. Right?
True,
And
true.
that any country for that matter has to offer.
So
Yeah, that's a little
personally,
bit about my
Sagar, yeah, the one thing that you said that you used to spend time remembering their names, because French names are obviously they are quite different and difficult also to read, pronounce, or even remember. So I know that was the hardest part for me, and I wanted to do that too, so that the student feels that okay, they belong there, they belong in that class, and the teacher knows their name. Okay, so that gives a different impression, and they want to learn. And second thing, I believe that if like assistant or maybe a teacher can give the space to the student to make mistakes, they learn tremendously and at a very great pace. So I think that's what you
As an,
have given to your students.
exactly. As an assistant, it's not your job to correct them. It's your job
Exactly.
to make sure they keep speaking, right? So just make sure that you're just going on and talking and talking and talking. That continuity, becoming fluent in the language, is what the assistant's job is, to bring that to the students. And the teacher will take care of, correction and stuff like that, right? So that's something that also lightens your work. So you don't have to focus too much on making sure 100% of what they're saying is correct, right?
Exactly. And so what about your accommodation situation? What was it?
Okay.
Where were you staying?
So 2 years I lucked out. Okay, I was extremely lucky both the years. The first year in the Academy of Poitiers, it's a well-known fact that 80% of the assistants based in the secondaire are accommodated by the school. All right, they're generally
Okay.
some kind of an accommodation facilities available in the school. Right, so it's either free, it's either like 2 or 3 assistants from the same city are placed in the internat, that is the boarding school, and they have like this one huge apartment. I personally had one whole apartment. It was like a one BHK, bigger
Okay.
than a studio. It was not a studio. It was bigger than a studio, and I paid nothing for that in Pong. All right, so I had this huge room. I had like a huge bed, and I would have guests over all the time. We would have parties. We would have too much fun there. And my second year, I stayed in a school at a lycée in the internat. All right, so I had my own room as well as a loo. The kitchen was common, and I paid a very small rent. To speak numbers, I paid 185 or something. All right,
That's
and for
great.
that I applied for the CAP, and I got back as an aide. I got back 126. So I ended up paying nothing almost.
Wow. So
And I
out of
ended up
185 euros a month, you were getting
I got back
125 euros back.
exactly 40 is
That's
what
a
I would pay.
win. That's a win. So where did you spend all your money then? On travels or where?
Yes, on travel. Both years I traveled tons. Okay, so a lot of Now the thing is, a lot of people who want to do this program look at it as a 8 month long
Vacation.
holiday.
Yeah.
All right, 8 month long vacation. Okay, I personally did not necessarily look at it as a vacation because I was there to learn how to teach and learn on the job and stuff like that. But as a perk are those 2 week vacations that you get after every 2 months, right? Every 2 months I traveled. After 2 years, I was able to cover around 14 to 16 different countries. I don't even know how many cities I've traveled to. Every single vacation was pre-planned. All right, at least 2 months of planning went into the vacation, and I made sure got the best of deals. I got the most cheapest of flights. You won't believe. I got a flight for 7.5 euros, right, from Rome, okay, in Italy, all the way to Barcelona in Spain. I was like, done. And I think
Which
in the first
airline was it, if I can ask?
this was Ryanair.
Ryanair and Wizz Air are the savior. They are the ultimate
And
saviors.
absolutely. There's another thing called Whirling. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. But Whirling, since I was close, I stayed in Strasbourg my second year, had very cheap flights. So I would go from Strasbourg, either I would go to Stuttgart and take a flight from there to, Naples and stuff like that, very cheap. Or from Strasbourg itself, there were a lot of cheap flights that moved out. All right. And since I stayed very close to Barcelona, that flight that I took from Rome to Barcelona was perfect. It was just like a bus ride home. So overnight bus ride home. So these
That's
things
amazing.
this is another thing that I really love. I'm a travel and tourism student for all you know, just to keep you all informed. That's the reason I know how to look for things as a traveler. All right. So I know when to start looking for things at what point in time. So even accommodation, that the tons of different options you have, you need to spend some time to see what the cheapest one is. Not necessarily the cheapest, but the best. Right. That's something that you should keep in mind. So most of my budget went in that. All right. And I'm very proud to say this. Okay. I came back with a lot of savings, Bhavna. I got saved a lot of money, which on a typical assistana contract, is next to impossible. Okay, I
I
won't
can
say
imagine.
impossible.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's difficult, okay, to save. If your accommodation is free, and if you're able to do cheap stuff, basically jugaad for everything, you will definitely be able to save.
It's
That's
basically the
that's
smart
how I feel.
choices and advance bookings and all that plays a
100%.
major role.
100%. And it's not like I control myself. I'm a big time foodie. I ate everywhere. Okay, and you again go back to my Instagram and see the pictures of the food that I've eaten. I ate everywhere. I ate good food, not even kebabs every day, which you get for like €5 or something. No, not even that. Good food. All right. So it's like you said, man, booking a good amount of time in advance and booking in the right kind of places will definitely give you that ability to save. And even if you're not looking at saving, an ability to have a better experience, right? To be able to spend a little more and get probably visit a museum that you want to visit, because sometimes visits to museums can get a little expensive. All right, tickets to museums could even go up to 20-25 euros, and sometimes I would be like, okay, I don't think I want.
Sagar, your video froze. Okay, there's this another girl, Reva. She just joined right now, and I was just focusing too much on you guys, all these new faces that I actually forgot to admit her. So sorry for that, Reva. If it
No
took me
problem, no
time
problem.
to admit you,
I'm very happy to be here today.
that's so nice. Yeah, we'll just wait for Sagar to defroze. Okay,
Sorry,
he's back. He's back.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened suddenly.
Doesn't matter. It happens. There's one more person who just joined right now. So the screen is now full.
I've just taken
Priya.
off my people who've turned off their videos. Okay, so I can't see everybody. Sorry.
Okay, so one is Tanushri, second is Reva, and third is Priya. Okay,
Hi,
rest
guys.
all faces we can see.
Perfect. Feel free to turn on your camera, alright? It's funner that way.
It's totally fine. Nobody's judging anyone. सब
I'm
ऊपर से ready है,
sorry.
नीचे से सबके shorts हैं. We all know that. आदत हो गई
So,
है.
yeah.
Okay. So, Sagar, I have a few questions which are different from all the assistant video that we have made in the past.
Right.
Like I did one with Akshad, if you know him,
Yeah.
and one with Divya, and I started off with Karishma.
Karishma.
So we have covered quite a lot of topics. So we'll be talking about different things. So I think first we can talk about Crous. I don't know how it's pronounced, Crous or Crous. I don't know. If you have any knowledge about it, just thoda sa just share your experience. If you have your experience, or if you have heard someone using this facility, and what is it basically?
So Crous or Crous is basically residences for students. All right. So it is normally reserved for students, and they are all government residences. So the universities and stuff like that have generally have tie-ups with Crous, and all students can apply to get accommodation. All right. You have varied kind of accommodation in Crous. All right. It starts off with a tiny little room, only the room. All right. So you have no kitchenette, or neither do you have a loo in the kitchen in the room. It is all shared. That's one kind of room. Another kind of room is where you have a loo, all right, and a tiny sink and all of that in your room. All right, you don't have a kitchen. All right, so that's I think that's called a chambre trifonction. Okay, I'm not sure of the specific names. It changes throughout France.
Okay.
All right, and the third kind of room is a studio, where you have everything that you need inside your room itself. You don't have to use the shared bathroom, neither the shared kitchen. All right. The rents can go all the way from €190. That is the least that I've seen from my research. It could go all the way up to €550. All right. That's in Paris. Sometimes even €650 in Paris. All right.
Okay.
So out of experience from what I've seen up to 650. I'm sure there are sometimes it's more than that. All right. The selection process and the booking process and all of that is very it's extremely structured. It's I wouldn't call it simple. Okay. Neither will I call it complicated. All right. It's not extremely complicated like the people think it is, but it's not even simple. So I will give them that. All right. So it's a website. You just go up to your website. You go up to the website of the Crous, and then there's an option where it asks you to trouver son logement or trouver un logement. All right. So you just have to click on that and look for your apartment. Look for where put in your city's name and all of that. One disadvantage to the cruise lodging is that it's not available in all cities. All right. So, for example, if I were placed in Pont, of course, it's not going to be available in Pont because there's no university. So, wherever there's a big university, you will definitely have the cruise accommodation. So, Université de Poitiers, there's a cruise de Poitiers. Université de Strasbourg, where I'm going to study, there's so many cruise accommodations there. So it really depends on where you're placed. If you're placed in the city, in the main city, or a town close to the main city, you can think of staying in a cruise. All right. One thing you need to keep in mind when you're applying for cruise is that it's extremely competitive. All right. Because first of all, it is reserved for students. All right. Second, it is reserved for all students who've got a scholarship. All right. So the top priority is students who got a scholarship. Second priority is students who come on an exchange data. So if the university itself has an exchange program with another university, they are given second priority. Third priority, general students. Now, what you need to realize is none of us are students. We're not going to France as students.
Yeah.
So where's our priority? There's no priority for us. Fortunately, some rectora, if you understand the word of rectora, rectors of the academies, have tie-ups with the cruise. For example, in Strasbourg, there are 2 crews in which around 5 rooms each are reserved for assistants, right? So people who are working in and around Strasbourg, let's say Sagar and Crous, of course, these names might not make sense, but okay. Tiny little towns that around Strasbourg, they can probably go ahead and rent out their own apartments in the cruise. And then there's also a cruise in Mulhouse, which is another city close to Strasbourg. So people who are working in Mulhouse and tiny towns around Mulhouse, they can look at getting accommodated in these places. Personally, both years I never had to look for Crous accommodation. I had to look for Crous accommodation way back in 2015 when I went as a student. There it was very simple because my university took care of it.
Okay.
And I didn't have to do too much. This year, when I went to look for accommodation on the cruise, you need to remember another thing. There are 2 rounds of booking that happen. The first round is somewhere in the month of June, where we don't have access at all. We cannot put up our booking. All right. And the second round of booking happened now in the month of July, maybe the 7th or 8th. All right. The second round of booking is where you can even start thinking, because that's when you will have got your contracts, you'll know which city you're placed in and all of that. All right. Now, what happens is if you miss this deadline, because a lot of people don't know if they're going to be placed there, what you can do is you can write to the cruise. All right. You write to the cruise saying, my name is this, I'm from this country, I've been placed in this and this academy, this and this school. Are there any accommodation options available for assistance? And then if there is something, they will get back to you with every detail, how big the room is, what the rent is, etc. All right. The cool thing is that being a government body, the cruise, it is very easily eligible for CAF. Okay, all rooms are eligible for CAF. Your contract comes in a way that it is eligible for CAF because it's, they give a buy-in and all of that. It's all very clearly established. And if you're even luckier, the cruise itself will take care of the thing for you. All right. So they will deduct the aid value and you just have to pay the difference in rent. All right. So that's what makes it a lot more easier. Right. So if you have an access to a cruise, if you have some kind of an option to take up a cruise accommodation, definitely prioritize that, because what the cool thing about cruise is that even though you have your own room, there's tons of opportunities for you to socialize. The kitchen is common. And most of my time I would spend in the kitchen cooking, and I would be like, oh, this guy is cooking something spicy, very intriguing. And other, what is that? The question would always be, oh, what is that? What's your name? So that's how you start socializing. That opportunity is available in a cruise. Like even when you're washing clothes, when you're ironing your clothes, whatever common thing that you're doing, you're spending time in a common space. That's where you get to meet a lot of people, and not necessarily only French people from all over the world. Okay, and what 90% of the times you will see that what unites you is your French. All right, but you may not necessarily speak their language. So yeah, that's a little bit about cruise. All right, so keep an eye out on the website. Very useful. See the dates. If sometimes the dates will not matter because you'll have to send them a message or an email and figure things out. All right, but just keep that in your head. All right, you'll have to be proactive. You'll have to send them messages. All right. And another thing before I forget is that in Strasbourg, the assistants are given 48 hours to confirm. So if I sent Crous
Oh.
that I want a room, they replied saying these are our options. Let us know in 48 hours. So that was a little
That's a very
difficult.
close window.
Yeah. And deciding should I pay 200 euros and use a common loo or pay 500 euros and not save anything is a little difficult to take in 48
Yeah,
hours.
I know.
So
But okay,
keep that
it makes
later.
sense. It makes sense. It's an option if you are not able to find the perfect kind of accommodation that you wanted for yourself. Cruise is obviously an option.
Yep.
So that was great. Okay, so scholarships are also involved in cruise. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about scholarships.
Sure. So you all will be happy to know that I'm a Chapak scholarship holder. So this year I was able to get the Chapak scholarship. So I have priority at the cruise. So what they generally tell us is that we are 100% going to get a cruise accommodation. All right.
And what's
So there are
that
many
scholarship that you just got? What's the name of it, and
the
how did you get
Chapak
it?
Masters. All right. These are
Okay.
scholarships for masters or bachelor students. Right. The one that I applied for is called Chapak Scholarship for Excellence. And the one that I specifically applied for is the master's scholarship. There are 3 or 4 scholarships that Charpak has. It's the lab scholarship, the exchange scholarship, the doctoral scholarship, and the master's scholarship. All right. So I'm not sure if there's a bachelor's also. I think it's slipping my mind. So it's a very competitive scholarship. All right. So if you want to become let's assume I'll very quickly tell you about my parcours, if I can use that word. So I started teaching 4 years ago. All right. And I did 2 years of teaching in France. And I did not do a bachelor's in this field. I want to do a master's in teaching foreign languages. All right. So they study your entire parcours. What have you done in order to be able to reach to a certain place? All right. So that's something that you should keep in mind. All right. If you're aiming for a certain Chapak scholarship, make sure your profile is very, very strong. All right. So I was able to get the Chapak Master Scholarship, and my accommodation is definitely like I've requested for accommodation out there, but I don't think I'm going to take it up. It's a little more expensive. Okay. I already found one, to be honest, on La Carte des Colocs. If you've heard of this website, La Carte des Colocs. It's where you can find flat
They must
shares.
have if they have watched my videos, because I talk about this all the time. Room Lala,
Exactly.
Exactly.
All of that. I struck gold there. I got an apartment for 300 euros. So I'm actually quite happy with that. And I don't want to get one in Crous, especially because I'll be spending my time, I'll be sharing this flat with 4 French people. So
That's amazing.
better
You're going
than-
to learn a lot of new stuff about French
Exactly.
people in France and language and everything.
Exactly. What can be better?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so you guys can also ask your questions, because I also have a list of questions जो कि बाकी future assistants ने भेजे हैं, who obviously could not join this video. So feel free to ask your questions. I'll just open my list and just start asking questions. Okay, so first of all, what is the insurance scene? I mean, somebody is asking, is it true that we have to get 4 different types of insurances in all? I don't know. I don't know about this, because I think हमने तो सिर्फ एक ही ली थी.
One. Correct.
Yeah, that's only
See,
one.
there are 4 different kinds of insurances that exist. Okay, as in, like if you're going to France, you need to be aware of these 4. First of all is the one that you need for your visa. Okay, that's a travel health insurance that you need for a period of 3 months, if I'm not wrong, to be checked. All right, definitely get that done before you leave. Second insurance is what they call la sécurité sociale. That's your health insurance when you're in France. Has to be set up on the first day you reach your school. The first day you go to school. Sign your documents, tell them to send it right then. If your secretary says no, you do it yourself. Okay, you send 2 copies from your end, make sure they send 2 copies from their end. That's the second one. Third one is something that they call assurance de la responsabilité civile. Okay, it's basically an insurance for, let's say you mess up, you hurt someone, you break something. All right, instead of you paying from your pocket, that insurance will take care of it. It is compulsory on paper.
Okay.
All right. And the fourth one is housing insurance. If you're renting some place, you will have to pay renter's insurance. All right. So those are the 4 kinds of insurances that do exist in France. And depending on the case, you will subscribe for one of them. Compulsory refers to leaving from France travel and health insurance. And second one is your sécurité sociale in France. because you're paying for it. It's free. It's free in the sense it's cut from your salary itself. All right. So you're not necessarily paying something extra for it. All right. And there's a fifth one, which it slipped my mind. It's the premium that you pay. It's called a mutuelle. Okay. What happens with La Sécurité Sociale is if you pay 25 euros for a consultation at a doctor's, they will reimburse around 17 euros, 16, 17 euros, depending on where you are. If you want to get back the difference, you'll have to subscribe to something that they call a mutuelle. All right. It reimburses up to 24 euros. So from 16 to 24, 1 euro is kept as a deductible, compulsory deductible. The balance is reimbursed. For a mutuelle, you should keep a budget of around 20 to 30 euros, depending on your age, depending on what you want covered, depending on how much you want covered. I never had a mutuelle because I don't fall sick easily.
I think travel and health insurance, it's more than enough, I guess, because I don't think you need more insurance. If you need in future, you can obviously extend it, I guess.
Yes.
Because I remember the travel insurance, everybody extended it from 3 months to 6 months.
6 months. Correct. That also, to be honest, guys, is not necessary.
Yeah, that is also not necessary.
Exactly. The thing is, as soon as you sign your document and you send your documents to this Amelie, is the organization that takes care of your insurance, technically your file has been created. From then onwards, you can benefit from the insurance, health insurance, Sécurité Sociale. All right. Just keep that in mind. What you need to also remember is people worry about something that they call the carte vitale. All right. Have you heard of the carte vitale?
Yes.
It's not compulsory. You don't have to worry about it. It will not reach you. I guarantee you it will not reach you. What I did in 2015 reached me in 2018 because they realized, oh, it's the same Sagar. Okay. And like, oh, là, il était étudiant. Là, il est revenu en tant qu'assistant. Donc, il faut changer de statut. He has to change his features. And voila la carte vitale. That too, I did not get it in the month of September. No, I got it somewhere in the month of February. So if I took 3.5 years to get it, 1 year is impossible. What assistants worry about is like, oh my God, I'm not going to get my carte vitale. It's not important. It's easier with a carte vitale, but it's not impossible.
It's not important.
You just need to keep all your documents in place. Take a copy of all documents that the doctor gives you when you make the payment. Take a Xerox copy. Originals you'll have to send. See if you can send the Xerox copies, and everything is fine. All right. So just keep that in mind. It's not something that you should be worried about. Just makes things a little bit easier.
We'll get 40 more
But
minutes.
I got a notification that the time has been
Extended?
it has been extended.
Okay,
Yes.
then we can just okay, I did not get any. Okay, we can just continue as it is. Everybody
Yes, I
just
got
stay.
a notification.
Everybody stay where you are. We are just going to continue.
Don't leave, Diksha, please. Perfect.
Okay, so after this, there is this question. I think Aishwarya sent me this one. Do we need minimum 2 recommendation letters from our French teachers? This was very frequent.
This when I applied 2 years ago. 3 years ago, 2018. One was compulsory, and the other one was facultative. It was not compulsory. All right, Bhavna, when you applied, did one of them say facultative?
One was, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
there
so
was one.
then one is 100% needed. You will definitely need one. The second one is always better to have the second one. Okay, don't tell me you haven't had 2 teachers of French in your life. All right.
More than 10, I suppose.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay, so that's that. After that, there is experiences worth investing in, except for travel, food, etc.
Okay. Now the word investing is something that triggers me. All right, you don't have to invest. All right, in a town like Pont, in a tiny town like Pont, all right, my colleagues were so sweet that they invited me for experiences. All right, one of my colleagues, she was the Spanish teacher there, and since I speak Spanish, I was very easily able to make connections with the whole school. All right, so she invited me over to her farm, her brother's farm. And at the farm, they cultivate apples and grapes. So la période de vendange is what they call it, September and October, where they harvest all these.
Harvest it, yeah.
So I got the experience of harvesting apples and grapes. Like, they harvest grapes and stuff like that.
Did you make
Not
wine
only did
also?
That's exactly. So not only did I harvest, I also got to taste the freshest of juice and then wine made out of that. It was so
Wow.
cool. And I don't think you need to invest in these kind of things. All right, you look up couch surfing experiences on couch surfing. Look up experiences on Airbnb. I know Airbnb is paid, all right, but couch surfing and all of that are all free. So where people volunteer to help you experience few things. All right. So Wanderers, just see if you can get an experience of harvesting. I mean, this will not happen if you're placed in a main city. All right,
Yeah,
I'm
because
sorry.
these vineyards are
Advantage.
on the countryside,
Exactly.
I would say.
And Pont, like it's the Bordeaux region, and Bordeaux region is extremely fertile for wine. So
Yeah.
everywhere you see, you have vineyards, right? So that is an experience that I would definitely ask you guys not to miss. Apart from that, I'm not sure, Bhavna, you would have heard me raving about La Fête des Lumières,
Yes, I
which is
know.
another fake experience. All right. I
In the
think
first
I
week of
attended.
December, I remember it was only you who was continuously messaging, guys, just come to Lyon. It's worth it. It's worth it. I was like, okay, it's only a matter of 2 days. I can make it happen.
Mhm.
It's La Fête de la Lumière. It's amazing. I still, if I still watch the video that I captured through my phone, I simply go back to that crowd and all the lights, and oh my God, that's amazing.
Beautiful. It's in Lyon. Okay. La Fête des Lumières happens throughout France. All right. But the best Fête des Lumières happens in Lyon, according to me. Okay. According to
No,
me.
actually, it's true. It's true. Lyon is it offers the best La Fête de la Lumière. And you would not believe how many people visit Lyon just for this purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. Those 2-3
When was
days.
this taken place?
Sorry, Mana?
Which month? When was this taken place?
December.
December.
Yeah, it's the
It's the
first
first
week
or
of
second weekend of December.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it starts
So it's
from Friday and stays till Sunday.
yes.
So people usually
What
plan a weekend trip.
locals generally do is they do not visit it on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It generally starts off on Wednesday because the installations
Yes.
start getting put in way earlier. So I fortunately, my second year as a visitor for this festival, I reached on a Thursday because my timetable was such that I worked only Monday, Tuesday, all right, and Thursday. So I asked my teachers for an off on Thursday. I left on Wednesday, reached on Thursday morning. On Thursday, I happened to visit the city. Right, there were absolutely no visitors. There were only locals, so there was no crowd. There was no line to visit a certain attraction and all of that. It was perfect. So if you have that luck, definitely I'd recommend you go there. All right. Now here, the only investment involved is your stay, because stay gets a little expensive around that time. But 3 years ago when I went there, we were 10 Indian assistants that we rented out an Airbnb and all of us chill together there. All right. So you will definitely find such options. All right. So
That's great.
as such, your investment is this. It's not too much.
I think if not an Airbnb, there are other options also which are free of cost. Luckily, I had friends there in Lyon who visited India back in, I guess, 2017. So we were in good terms, and I got a chance to catch up with them. So I was in Lyon with them. So I did not pay anything on the rent and even on the food. It was all home cooked. We used to cook together and everything. So no money was paid there. And apart from that, there is this Facebook group, especially it's for girls. I'm so sorry, Mridul. And Sagar also. It's the group We Are Backpackers. So it's like a French group and only for girls. So you can use the girl charm and just talk your way out, and maybe somebody will be ready to host you. And apart from this, there is this one site and app which you can use for experiences. And this one is with locals. I don't know if you have heard of it, because I remember using this back in 2017 when I went for my first solo trip to Europe. So I booked my cooking class, Italian cooking class with locals. So that was amazing. You can also check that out. And
What
Lyon
about couch surfers? There's also a couch surfing. So yeah,
I've used
that,
couch surfing, but not for experience, only for the place accommodation. So that is amazing, because with couch surfing, you obviously get the place and you get additional experiences that you just cannot foresee. Have you done couch surfing, Sagar?
Yeah, I have done couchsurfing once.
Where?
I think few of the best experiences happen in couchsurfing.
I
Right, I
know.
was in Slovenia. I was
Uh-huh.
in Slovenia, or at a very, very, very beautiful city of Ljubljana. All right, it's the capital of Slovenia, and I couch surfed in this place. And wow, it's the city itself is so beautiful. All right, but through couch surfing, where I stayed at this person's house, he and basically his family, they were so open because at that point in time the carnival was happening. All right, so
Okay.
when you experience the carnival with a local, right, they
Uh-huh.
are able to tell you a lot more about the festival. They are
Mm-hmm.
able to recommend a lot more places than a tourist guide or something that you look up on a blog or something like that. So I
Mm-hmm.
think those extra added advantages
Mm-hmm.
that you get when you
Uh-huh.
when you stay on couch surfing is something that you should definitely look at. And it's too cool. It's too cool.
Yeah, and you never know where you end up, what activities you end up doing with couch surfing. Because the host, if you get a great host, then you will be seeing the city that you are visiting with a whole new perspective.
Absolutely, that's so true, Bhavna.
That's that. There's this next question, which is how to open a bank account.
Okay, opening a bank account again. I have
It's
done
it's
it
a
three
long
times.
process. It's a detailed process, I would
It's a
say.
very detailed process.
Yeah.
I've done it three times so far, so it's
Mm-hmm.
easy for me. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I will not lie. But opening a bank account in France, all it requires is three things. Okay, ID proof, accommodation proof, and in work or income proof. All right. So what will work for you guys is first of all your passport. You definitely need passport copies. Second is something that we call le procès verbal d'installation. Okay,
That is very
basically it's
important. Super important
very
document.
for everything. Okay, that's the
Mm-hmm.
document that you will sign on the first day of your work. All right, if you happen to visit your school before the first day, you will sign this document called the PD. All right, so you will need that. Basically, it's a proof that you've come to France and you've started working in the school. All right, that accompanied with your arrêté de nomination, which is your contract, is what you will need to open your bank account. All right, they sometimes ask for your PAN card in India for tax purposes. So make sure you have a copy of your PAN card. That is useful. And what you need to do is you will request your professeur référent, that is basically the teacher who is in charge of taking care of your of whatever you have to do there, to take an appointment in your name. Let's say the second day of your arrival. Now, unfortunately, in France, Monday banks are shut. Sunday banks are, of course, they're shut. Saturday they're not sure of opening. Okay, then a half day will
You
be
need
they're
to
like,
check
oh,
les horaires.
exactly timing, or they open at 9 and they shut at 11. I'm like, 2 hours, who comes to work? But okay, sometimes that happens. So make sure your teacher's well aware of what time, when, where, what date, and all of that. Make sure they take it in advance, because sometimes what happens in bigger cities is that you don't get an appointment easily. All right,
Hmm.
now when it comes to choosing which bank, all right, you need to keep in mind that all banks will charge you a certain amount. All right, so every year this changes. All right, there's no way of knowing in advance how much a certain bank charges you. There are some banks that take, as soon as you open the bank account, they take 24 euros for the year. There are some banks that take 2 euros every month. Mine would take 2 euros every month because I was on a youth youth discount,
Yeah, same
which
same for
I had
me.
to pay
It
all
was
the
2 euros
exactly.
every month.
Exactly. Some people pay 32 euros also. I've heard. I think Societe Generale charges around 30 to 34 euros. I
Mm-hmm.
might be wrong. All right. I was with a bank called Crédit Agricole. All right. And in my 3 years in France, I've used BNP, that is
Mm-hmm.
BNP, and Crédit Agricole, these two. And I've heard of a lot of experiences using Banque Populaire, Crédit Mutuel, Enseignant. I
Mm-hmm.
have not heard many negative reviews. All right. So if you were to ask me which is the best bank, I don't have an answer. All right. I would happily recommend Crédit Agricole because I've been very happy with their services. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're able to get Crédit Agricole, especially in tiny towns, again, what the thing is, in tiny towns, they know you're an assistant. You're coming for 8 months. I'll be happy to open an account for you. And when I went to Crédit Agricole to open my account in Pont, they were like, ah, vous êtes l'assistant de cette année. I'm like, oui.
Ah, they
They were
knew.
like, they already knew that there's an assistant coming to the school. They come
Mm-hmm.
for 8 months, and they need help with this and this. So a lot of times, that schools have their tie-ups to the bank itself. All right. So keep that
Yeah.
in mind. Ask your teacher.
For
So
that,
should
maybe
help.
you can just look for a bank which is nearby your place of working. That helps, because if you have any problem getting the salary or something like that, you can directly approach the bank manager without taking the appointment. So that also works. I remember I went for LCL with the same reason, because that was very close to my lycée. So that was very convenient for me. And even the bank manager and everyone, they were very helpful and just ready to be there.
Correct.
And I had to explain that, although who am I and what am I doing in France? But once they understood the concept of assistant, then they were very eager to help. And because they knew it is going to be only for 8 months, the account. So that was very quick. It did not take any time or any hassle. It was very smooth, I would say.
It is definitely a challenge, because I know that a lot of, from what I've heard, banks don't let you open the account for 8 months. Like if you're telling them that I'm here for a short period of time, they will not allow you to open bank accounts. That's something that I had heard long ago, but never experienced it. All right. So definitely keep in touch with your prof ref, because she or he will know where they will know where the previous assistant had opened a bank account and had no problems. So keep that in mind. All right. That will really help.
Yeah. Okay. So next question is how to get a new SIM in France. Maybe you can just
Easy
talk
peasy.
about the
So easy.
which one?
I said it's so easy.
Yeah, it's easy, but maybe you can talk about the networks and which one is, which SIM or network is there in France, which is not going to cost you like tons.
a bomb. So you have four major ones. All right, Orange, SFR, then Bouygues, all right, and Free. All right, these are the four major ones. I have always used Free, always. All right, because I've
Orange,
had.
always
Uh,
orange.
but isn't Orange expensive?
It is, but the
It is.
services are amazing, and I did not recharge it that often, so it was affordable.
Right. So the
And it
free
used to
plan that I
work even
use,
in basement and no network zones, so that is why I love orange.
right, makes fair enough. I had bad experiences with SFR. All right, I tried getting their Wi-Fi and all. That's very difficult. It's not easy. All
You are
right.
the third
So
person who is saying this thing about SFR.
SFR. Yeah. You'll read assistant posts on the Facebook. Guys, the Facebook group is a huge resource.
Can
All
you
right.
can you tell the
Go
name
to
of the Facebook group, because me and Akshad also, we were talking about this and we never got to share the name of the Facebook group. Maybe we can type it here in the chat box and they all can access
Sure.
it.
The Facebook group is called Assistant de langue en France. Simple. Okay, it's / TAPIF, TAPIF. That's what the program is called in USA. TAPIF 2021-2022. All right, I'll repeat that. Assistant de langue en France / TAPIF 2021-2022. All right, go to all the assistant groups from the last 3-4 years. Read, just keep reading, just scroll when you have the
There
time.
are stories, lot of stories there.
See, one thing that I'll tell you is there are a lot of negative stories also.
Negative
That
stories,
should
yeah.
not be discouraging. Don't let that get to you. Okay, like, hi, so many negative stories. The thing is, people tend to share so that you're aware, not to just tell you ki there's only negative. And I'll be honest, 2 years ago, there was so much negativity on that group. Someone actually started a thread about let's share positive stories. Okay, if you find that positive story thread, you'll strike gold basically. Okay, go look for that. So don't get intimidated by the amount of things that are there on that group. Be positive, be it negative. Read, keep it in your head. That is that can happen. That is a possibility, and just think of how you can work around it basically. All right, just so you're prepared. Right. So it's a very good resource. Use that Facebook group as a resource to understand what people's experiences are. So among those 4 or 5 providers that I spoke about, I always used Free. It was a 20 euro pack. They gave me 100 GB or something a month, which I was extremely happy with, because sometimes I had Wi-Fi also. In my first year, I had Wi-Fi plus the 20 euro pack, and the second year I had a 20 euro pack. For my daily use, Netflix, whatever, it was enough. But at the end, when I was taking online classes, it sort of got a little challenging. My internet would get over and all of that. All I did was I got another 20 euro pack for the last 2 months. So I ended up spending a little, like let's say 50 euros for activation of SIM card is 10 euros and 20 euros per month. That's because I had classes back in India and all of that. So I will have to take them all online on Zoom, and that would be quite, they would consume a lot of internet, right? So that's the reason I invested a little bit more. But you can look at Orange. It's a little expensive, but amazing network. You can look at free. Very, very economical.
Offers are very amazing. Yeah, on free offers
Very,
are
very
amazing.
Yeah, very good offers in free. Alright, if you fall onto a good offer, they will not take that offer back, because once you paid now, you're always going to have that same thing. You get upgrade. You can sometimes there was an offer that came for 13 euros. All right, which was giving you like 90 GB, little less than 10 GB for 20 euros. That 7 euros ka difference was quite an important difference, because over 10 years, that 70 euros that you're 10 months, sorry, 70 euros that you're saving is quite a big number now. So if you if you come across a certain good offer, take it. Okay. Now, where do you get free or these cards is always a question.
That's the question.
It's very difficult for people, especially since when you reach the airport,